I got some exciting games for you today. Stick with me, it's going to be a great one. So today, we're going to be talking about Blaster Master. Now, Blaster Master on the NES is one of my favorite games of all time. Possibly is my favorite game of all time, because I grew up playing Blaster Master like crazy on the NES. So, let's dive into it.
Okay, so here it is. This is Blaster Master on the original Nintendo Entertainment System, also known as the NES. And this game is quite possibly my favorite game, not only on the NES, but also possibly my favorite game of all time, because as I said, I grew up playing this game, and I just love it to this day. And the reason that I still love it is because it holds not only a lot of nostalgia for me, but also the fact that I still have never beaten this game. I've gotten to the final boss, and I've seen people beat it, and I try to copy what they do, but I still cannot beat this game. I mean, it's a great game. Look at the graphics. They're just amazing for an NES game. This is one of those games that people generally referred to as like a super NES game, if you know what I'm saying. It was not a Super Nintendo game, but it was a Super Nintendo Entertainment System game. So, but yeah, you're this little guy named Jason, and the story behind this game is that your pet frog jumped out of his bowl, ran out the door, found a pile of radiation that mutated him. He jumped down a hole. Jason stupidly followed the frog down the hole and found Sophia the tank, which is your vehicle. Now, I would recommend to anybody to pick up this game for their Nintendo Entertainment System, or even if you have a clone system, pick this cartridge up, because this game is just amazing. It's like, it's not rare, but it's not super common either, so it might be a little pricey, but this game is just the equivalent of fun and belongs in every single Nintendo Entertainment System person's collection. So, I mean, yeah, look at this. You're going underwater. The levels in this game are just amazing, and so are the boss fights. In fact, that's where I'm going right now. But yeah, I love how it just changes to an overhead view from a side-scrolling view, and that's something very unique to this version of Blaster Master. This game was released, I think, towards the middle, if not towards the end of the Nintendo Entertainment System's lifespan. I think more towards the middle. Now, the enemies in this game are really, really cool. They're robots, and so it saved a lot of color, because the NES was not capable of a ton of colors, but I do love the colors in this game. They're just so brilliant, and the art style's really amazing in this game. It's fun. I mean, look at the blaster gun that I'm using here. It's crazy. It is crazy. You can even use, you know, your grenades. Like this ugly guy, you have to use grenades or he's impossible. But yeah, let's get to the boss really fast. So, one of the main things about this game that I think is just so amazing, besides the graphics, is just how fun it is. It's just unbelievably fun. I can't stress that enough.
So yeah, Blaster Master, on the NES at least, is an awesome game. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it other than that it's extremely hard, but that's most NES games for you. The graphics in this game for an NES game are like top notch. Unbelievable. The music is memorable. The levels are amazing. So it's like, what could go wrong, right? Everything was set in place for a great sequel, right? Nope. In fact, the sequel wasn't even on the same system. It was on the Sega Genesis. And oh man, did they fuck this one up.
Ugh, I can't stand this game. And I've only played it a few times, but this game is absolute garbage. The music is terrible. I mean, look, since when did Jason fight bugs? What happened to cool robots?
How did they get it so wrong? That makes no sense. I mean, the only thing I can give to this game is a 1 out of 20, maybe. I know that's not even a real comparison, but that's how bad it is. I mean, the only thing I can give it credit for is that the graphics look smoother, but the story to this game sucks. You think Metroid Other M story sucks? You should know this. You should hear the story to this one. So the name of your tank in the original game is Sophia. So, you know what the story is in this one and why Sophia in this one looks different? Because the idiot Jason just tore... The story is that he tore it apart to put it back together again. That's it. That's the stupidest story ever. And the enemies are just not the same. The gameplay's nowhere near as fun. There's no music, basically. It's just noise. It's not a good game, folks, and I regret even picking this up. Yeah, I can't believe the guy charged me. How much did he charge me? He charged me $13 for this piece of crap. This is like a $1 game. Because nobody wants it. It's a terrible game. But there is some hope left in the series, because in like 2001 we got Blaster Master Blasting Again for the original PlayStation. And what's really funny is this should never have been on the original PlayStation, because the graphics in this game are really, really good. This should just have been put on the PlayStation 2. And the gameplay in this game is fun. So let's check it out.
Oh yeah. Blaster Master Blasting Again on the original PlayStation. This is such an overlooked game, and it really doesn't deserve it. I mean, yes, I know it's not the most amazing game ever, but it's certainly not the worst game out there. This game deserves a lot more attention. This game was released in 2001. Believe it or not, this was released for the original PlayStation when the PlayStation 2 had already come out. That's why I was saying that it really should have just been on the PlayStation 2. It would have had so much more opportunities. But despite that, this game, it returns to a lot of the things that made the first Blaster Master game good. I mean, yes, clearly it's a 3D game, unlike the first game, but if you look at it very deeply, it actually works surprisingly well. I mean, yeah, the fact that you have to sort of just randomly shoot is kind of annoying. There's no lock-on, but it doesn't really matter with this style of a game, and it's really nice that they incorporated the sticks use on the DualShock for this game, because otherwise this game is really, really hard without the sticks. Believe me, I've played it with the D-pad, and it is really, really hard. But with the sticks, at the same time, it's touchy, to say the most. And over-responsive, to say... Yeah, they're touchy. So, the story in this one is that you play as the hero of Blaster Master, the first one, Jason. You play as his son, Roddy. And so yes, Jason, the original hero, is dead. In fact, there's a cutscene in the beginning of this game that actually explains that, where Roddy is kneeling down at his father's grave. And what I love about this game is that while it still feels like a Blaster Master game, it also, I can very clearly see this was highly influenced by, like, Transformers, and that's really, really cool, because those of you who like Transformers might actually like this game. I mean, it is a kind of a hard game to come by these days, but if you see it, you should pick it up, because if you like to collect for, like, say, the PlayStation or the PlayStation 2, and in some cases even the PlayStation 3, you should pick this disc up, because it's actually fairly cheap to buy, because it's not a hugely popular game. And I actually find that kind of quite sad, because this is a really, really good game. I mean, the music is really nice. It's just synth remixes of the original game's music. The graphics for an original PlayStation game are amazing. I like that it's very Japanese-like. And yeah, you see, right there. That is clearly inspired by Transformers. And just the graphics for an original PlayStation game in this are just... it blows my mind. This really ought to have been on the PlayStation 2, I think. Then they would have had more graphical capabilities. And perhaps that's why they only put it on the PlayStation 1. But this game really, really pushes the PlayStation 1's limits very, very well, and I'm really, really shocked at how good this game is, because it's not often when a series takes from one platform to another company's platform that they quite frequently ruin the series, frankly. Like, that's what happened to Contra, believe it or not. Contra got so popular that it got 2 original PlayStation titles that are really, really terrible. In fact, they're popular because they're terrible, but surprisingly, Blaster Master, quite good.
So yeah, it's an okay game. It doesn't really live up to the greatness of the original, but at the same time, it's not downright terrible like the sequel was. And for the longest time, this was the last Blaster Master game in the series. But yet there was hope on the horizon. Because on the original Wii, there's a Blaster Master game. And that game is called
Blaster Master Overdrive. And thank goodness this one didn't screw up. This game still is not as good as the original game. However, it comes very, very, very close. So it even has a story. Without warning, the world has been overtaken by a polymorphic mutant virus. Animals and types infected with virus have become ferocious and are attacking humans. Surviving humans infected with the virus are overtaken by a deep sleep-like state. No one knows how to revive them. The human race now faces a crisis unlike any others. Fortunately, a viral biologist well, you can read the story. But I love the cutscenes in the beginning of this game. They're excellent. They're very anime-type cutscenes, hence this game is very Japanese. And I would recommend this game. However, there is somewhat of a slide to this game, and that is, it is super hard, or is gonna become super hard to get in the near future when the Nintendo Wii U is cut. Because this game, I didn't get it when this first came out on the Wii's Virtual Console, and it's not even available on the Wii U's Virtual Console, and you might ask, well then how did I get it? Well, I am playing it on the Wii U. What I had to do, because the Wii U is actually like two systems in one, and so I had to go onto the Wii's Virtual Console on the Wii U, you go to the Wii menu, and then it has its own menu and Virtual Console. And I downloaded this, and I had to pay $20 for this game, which I think was actually a fair deal, because this is a really good game. But as I said, in the near future, because the NX is coming out and they're going away from the Wii brand, this game is going to be super hard to come by, because I don't think it will make the jump to the NX. I think all the Virtual Console games are doomed to be lost, very sadly, unless Nintendo is smart and puts them on the NX, which they may. But, so yeah, I would recommend you get this game as soon as you can right now, because if you have a Wii U, you're still good. However, because when the Wii U came out, like 2 years later, they shut down all the internet capabilities of the original Wii, so you can't get it there anymore, so your only hope for this game now is the Wii U. But anyways, so you're a whole nother guy in this game, and I have no idea how he's related to Jason, or if he's related at all. Personally, I feel this game is kind of like more of a retelling and a reboot, you might say. Has very little to do with the original story. But this game, nonetheless, is possibly the truest sequel that there is to Blaster Master, because it is side-scrolling. The graphics, while not terribly impressive, because it is a Wii Virtual Console game, but that doesn't matter. It's really fun, but what's really interesting is how you control. You don't need the nunchuck in this game. You hold the Wiimote sideways and use the D-pad, go left and right, and so forth. And then you use 1 and 2 as if A and B buttons. So basically it mimics the controls of the original game with the D-pad and the A and B button on the original NES. And I think that's great, because a game like this needs that. This is a very, very hard game, folks. It's not for everybody because it's super, super hard. In fact, I didn't even get very far while recording this footage, because I was trying not only to, you know, keep the review short, which I failed miserably because this review is like a half-hour long, folks, so. But yeah, I recommend this game, absolutely. And what's nice is I actually refer to this game as Blaster Master Vania, or Blaster Master Metroid, because it kind of is. Some of the enemies are kind of very similar to what you see in a Metroid game, but also it has a map, just like Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night. And it's very, very fun. And if you like games like that have a map that's kind of cryptic, you would love this game. So you should really pick this game up.
So yeah, Blaster Master, it's an amazing series, and you should own them. Now, there are some games that I did not cover in this series because they're not really that special. There's both for Game Boy systems. The first one is called Blaster Master Jr., and it's terrible. It's just, Sophia the Tank's not even in it. It's just a Bomberman clone with what's supposed to be Jason, I guess. And then the second one is called I can't remember what it was called.
Blaster Master Enemy Below. Okay. I know, I forgot during the review, but so Blaster Master Enemy Below is surprisingly, it should have been good, but it isn't, sadly. I mean, yes, I like that it goes back and this is actually the true sequel to Blaster Master on the NES. This is actually the true sequel, because you play as Jason, and it also was the only game of all of these games to actually be a Meta Fight sequel. In Japan, Blaster Master is known as Meta Fight, and this game was the only other Meta Fight game. But surprisingly, this game, it came out in 2000, but it's just surprisingly not that great. I mean, true, it looks a lot like the original Blaster Master. In fact, it looks very, very much like Blaster Master, but this game is outrageously hard. It's basically Blaster Master, the first one, remixed, and it's really, really difficult. I mean, it's your tank is nowhere near as mobile. It feels actually heavy, and the layouts are just unbelievably hard to find your way around. I mean, I like that all the original enemies are in this game, but the worst thing that they did to this game from the original is what they did to Jason when he's out of the vehicle. They took the ability away from the original game In the original game, in order to fight bosses and other enemies when you're out of the vehicle, it was very important to walk diagonal. Well, they took that away in this game, and it makes it next to impossible because certain enemies still shoot at you, and the only way to get at them is from a diagonal angle, but you can't get at them because you can't walk diagonal. I have found where the boss is, but I could never get to the boss with enough firepower because the guys that give you the gun power are just unbelievably difficult in this game. I mean, I hate to be this obnoxious towards a great title. I mean, sure, this is not the abomination that Blaster Master 2 was, but it's sadly not the game it should have been. Now, true, I am playing this on a 3DS because I personally don't have the cartridge for this. Like, see, here, even you can tell the animation on him is not that great as in the first one. They changed him up a little bit. But you see what I mean? I'm having to walk up and down and left and right. There is no diagonal, and that really pisses me off because that was a big part of being able to play the original game. And I don't... See, watch this enemy right here. See? I have to get right up to him and risk losing my health in order to get the gun power. You wouldn't have to do that in the original game.
But yeah, so the second one was kind of just a remix of the first game, but there's some annoyances about it that just don't make it as good. So, do I recommend this series? Absolutely. Do I recommend Blaster Master 2, however? Only if you're a die-hard Blaster Master collector like I am. But this series sadly has a very sad fate because a few years ago, after Blaster Master Overdrive came out, Sunsoft went out of business. And so, unless Nintendo finds a way to revive the series with somebody else, there will never be a Blaster Master again because Sunsoft no longer exists, and all these games were by Sunsoft. So, for now, rest in peace, Blaster Master. You're an awesome series. Except for Blaster Master 2. That game should never have even been made. It's a piece of shit. It was Japan trying to trump on the Blaster Master series because we Americans loved it so much that we wanted a sequel. Little did we know that the true sequel, Enemy Below, was on the Game Boy Color. We just had to wait for it. But yeah, Blaster Master 2 was never released in Japan. It was made specifically for the US market. So stupid when they do things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. There's all kinds of fun things. There's Retro Davo, as well as many other exciting series. And a quick announcement is I'm going to be getting a new computer soon. Which means I'm announcing that I'm going to be doing live streams. And the first live stream to come to you is going to be the original Blaster Master on the NES. So I'll make sure to announce that when I get the new computer. So, I'm Retro Davo. I'll see you soon.